Hello, Schmoville. Welcome back to the Schmoes Know Podcast YouTube channel. So we are uploading all the episodes from the past, from Phase 1 all the way up to Phase 4 of the podcast. And right now we're in Phase 2. I uploaded the John LaJoie episode, which was the first episode of the Phase 2 phase of the podcast. And so this is actually the first one we ever recorded for Phase 2. That's why we introduced our new engineer, Katie Levine, who came in. But it was the second one that we released during the Phase 2 time. And this is my buddy, Trevor Engleson. He is a manager, he is a producer, and he's just one of those guys. You understand why he has been as successful as he is in the business, because he's just a dude. He knows everybody. I've been in LA for quite a while, and if I meet somebody, chances are they know Trevor Engleson. He's been around for a while. I met him when I first got out here doing stand-up, and listening to him talk about the business, especially for upcoming writers, because Trevor represents a lot of writers. He actually represents John LaJoie, who is on the league. And hearing him talk about just the business in general and how a young writer can go and start and projects he's worked on and how he spun that into producing stuff. It's great for anyone who wants an insight on how that part of the world works. And it's great to just hear Trevor talk, because he's just one of those dudes. You listen to him talk about arithmetic for 6 hours and you're like, oh, that was really interesting. So enjoy this interview. Please comment, subscribe to this channel if you haven't, and always, of course, check out the website and our main YouTube channel. Thanks for listening, guys, and enjoy the interview with Trevor Engleson. All right, guys, so we are back. It is the Schmoes Know Podcast. I don't know what episode it is. I fell asleep right next to Ellis. What's up, Ellis?
I'm going to go with episode 11. Hi, Christian. It's very good to see you.
It's 12. I was making jokes, but you should
really?
know. I just wanted to test you out, you little rat.
I lost count after number 2. This is the Schmoes Know Podcast.
Yes.
We're working with a different sound engineer today.
We are.
An engineer, a technician, a jack of all things electronic, if you will. Her name is Katie.
Yay, Katie.
Katie, we'll give you a little round of applause. That sounds like a lot of people.
I literally thought that was a sound effect. I'm like, wow, she's quick. She's not even touching it.
Yeah, I know. She's got a big ego. She makes it sound like there's 20 people in the room listening to us.
So yes, guys. So of course, this is the podcast. We've been doing this. You guys have been listening, and we are very excited to do it. And we're really excited about today's guest. I've known this guy for a very long time. He's another New Yorker, just like me, and he's a little bit out of his mind. That's what I love about him. He's one of those guys that walk into a room and you know that he's in the room. Of course, I'm talking about manager, producer, Trevor Engleson. What's up, Trevor? How are you?
What's up?
We'll give Trevor a round of applause. I see that.
Yeah, that's because you want to hear it again. That's the only reason why.
It really sounds cool. Yeah. Welcome to the show, Mark Ellis, everybody.
That's right.
Okay, not as many people.
No, only one person. It's like an open mic now all over again. So Trevor is here, and we're going to talk to Trevor. Trevor actually represents writers, and you represent talent now too, right?
Yeah. You got. There's no. If you're in the representation game and you're solely doing lit, especially if you're solely doing feature lit, it's not the. It's hard to grow a company like that. It's hard to, there's great money in it, right. And there's amazing, it's a sexy business, the feature lit business, right? There's directors and movies, but, the feature game is getting smaller.
Right. Why is that?
Well, it's just, TV is the gentleman's game. There's like a real business to it. They have especially on the network side, are we supposed to just jump right into all this shit?
Do it, and we literally just talk shit. Do whatever you want to do.
You have in TV, especially on the network side, there's a season to things. So right now it's selling season, it's pitch season. So you sell something, they either say yes or they say no. That's nice, right?
Right.
I mean, just that alone is fucking nice. And then you go into. If they say yes, they get a script and you hand that script in. They say yes or no, we're going to pilot. Then you make a pilot, and if they say yes or no, we're going to series. That's it. And there's a real rule to that shit. In the feature game, you take a look at Deadline late last night. They were talking about Lone Ranger with Johnny Depp. They're shutting it down possibly. It's like,
really?
That's fucking Lone Ranger with Johnny Depp at Disney. And they go, Gore Verbinski, I don't know.
Wait. So they're shutting it down because...
It's not official yet.
Okay, but you had Gore Verbinski and Johnny Depp, of course, who did the Pirates movies together, and Rango.
And Johnny Depp wanted to play Tonto.
Yeah, maybe that's why. Maybe they said, it's going to be Tonto the movie.
No,
I don't want
expensive.
Tonto the movie.
Look, the feature game, the average studio film costs, what, $35 million to produce, $35 million to market?
And that's without major talent attached, right?
That's for like a romantic comedy.
Okay.
That's not for fucking Lone Ranger.
Right.
Yeah, it seems like TV is like you either have a green light or a red light, and that's your life. And then when you're making a feature, it's just like one of those windy, curvy roads like you see in like The Hills Have Eyes or something, where you're not really sure where you're going.
Yeah.
There's a lot of misdirection.
But the feature game is fantastic when it works, except you can't, as a manager running a company, you can't just concentrate on one thing,
right.
Because what happens if there's another fucking strike? Then you shut down. Right. But when the strike happened last time, we got into the animation game. We weren't in talent at the time, but if we were in talent, that would have helped tremendously. I mean, I know a couple of companies that were around our size that had to shut down because of the strike, and we somehow made it through. But TV and talent is going to be a lot of what we're going to be doing in the future. But feature lit game is my heart and always will be, and we'll always be growing that side. But mostly more with filmmakers as opposed to just some, Anyway.
And I see Trevor brought his flask with him today. Was that flask purchased during the writer's strike? Is that?
Yeah. This was.
It's like, dude, I got nothing to do.
I was a PA on Deep Blue Sea, and LL Cool J gave me a nickname. He called me Trev Trev, the Legendy Lev, which I thought was like the coolest fucking thing.
A flask from LL Cool J.
No, he didn't give me that, but now I have the name written on it.
He got him a
my
nickname.
fiance.
I love that. Okay, well,
does your fiance refer to you as Trev Trev?
Once in a while.
Really?
Right. That should be in the wedding vows somewhere. Do you take this man Trev Trev?
3 weeks I get married.
Really?
Congratulations.
Wow. Well, it's kind of short notice. I guess I can rent a tux and give a speech or something.
No,
but
you're not invited.
Okay. Because I was going to have to cobble stuff together.
We actually are invited. We're going to be doing commentary on the wedding and then like the guests and stuff.
Welcome back to the Schmozo program. Trevor about to say his vows.
I give that vow 4 out of 5 schmoes.
He looks nervous, Christian. I don't know if he's going to make it through. Well, good. Congratulations. That's awesome.
That is awesome. Let's talk about so you talked about getting involved and having the management company, but how did you start at it? Because I know a lot of people who aren't in Los Angeles and don't really know a lot about even what lit.
A lot of people in Los Angeles don't know.
That's true. No, but I mean, there's people that now who are watching or who are listening that are like, well, what exactly the lit game? What does he mean? And I think, to explain to you guys, Trevor reps writers who write feature films. And now he said he also reps television writers and talent.
Talent being like actors,
right? Actors. Like actors, actresses, and that we use the term loosely.
Yeah. On newscasts, talent is referred to as the weatherman, so it's not really.
So we be careful sometimes. But anyway, so I know that originally you were in the agency.
I was a paid intern at Endeavor when they were in year 5. And then I worked my way up to delivering shit on my car all across L.A., pick up a package in Malibu, drop it off in Hollywood Hills Friday night while your parents are in town kind of shit. I literally have thrown my car off of Lookout Mountain. It was a fucking trip, but it was great. I mean, even looking back on it, even then it was amazing just having the opportunity to work with these people. And, you deliver a script to Pete Berg, he answers the door and you're like, it's fucking Pete Berg. That's
right.
Cool. Hey, that's the coach from Coach.
Well,
were you always professional when you dropped the script off or when you picked it up, or did you ever kind of try to get into a conversation with?
He's being modest though too, because there's no way that I could just see you go, "Oh, thank you, Mr. Berg." This guy, he walks in, he talks to everyone.
I went in for a beer with 1 or 2 people.
That's what I'm saying.
That's right.
I just think he's a little. Wait till he warms up.
Just say sneaky Jew. Say it.
You're not a sneaky Jew.
Sneaky Jew.
No, you're not a sneaky Jew. You the way I met Trevor. Literally, I came out here, and when I came up to LA and I was literally screaming and yelling and saying nothing on stage, just screaming and yelling.
Yeah. And much like you do on the podcast.
More or less. But the funny thing is, when I got off stage, this guy comes up to me, he's like, and I literally was probably the most, it was so much profanity. I was a disgusting individual. And I get this guy, he goes, "Hey, I like what the fuck you do. I like it. You got a lot. Let's talk.
Is that how you guys? Because I don't know how you guys met.
That's it. We met at it was at the place on Melrose. It's just it was like a sushi joint. I literally was performing next to the chefs.
I think every comic in LA now you have to start out at a sushi place before you actually work the club.
I thought it was the
Martini Lounge.
Martini Lounge.
That was it. Sorry, we're reminiscing here, guys. But yeah, so I met Trevor, and I was just like, well, and because you hear stories about people who are just full of shit, more or less. Like, oh, they're just going to tell you, oh, yeah, I like what you do. Don't worry about it. Send me a script. And I sent him a script. And he read it, called me back, said, this sucks. And then he's like, but you got something. Let's talk. And he came to see the stand-up. We became friends, and we were friends for like 12 years. But the thing that I've always been impressed with you is the fact that you go up to people, you talk to them, you tell them the truth, you tell them you're honest with them. And you don't get a lot of that in LA.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I figure... Let's go out. Like you're from Bayside, right?
Yeah, Queens.
Which was like, you said we're from New York. Like, I'm from the pussy part. That's literally, we share a McDonald's with you.
Right.
But like, I'm from the pussier part of that said square radius.
No, but it's not Albany.
No, it's not all.
No. How close were you guys? Or how close is the area?
I used to drive around the same street as he did, like on Northern Boulevard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you like Long Island, right?
Yeah, Great Neck.
Yeah, Great Neck. Not even that. Like 20 minutes.
Oh, cool. Again, I'm from Williamsburg, so I'm impressed with electricity. So, it's a pretty neat thing. We're going to get it eventually. Yeah, we drive to Virginia Beach if we want to go online.
Yeah, Jaws 3D just came out in their theater.
No, but the reason I brought up New York was, I hold on to my New York roots dearly, and sometimes to not my benefit, but I figure I grew up with guys that would always tell you how it is. I didn't grow up with any bullshitters, and I figure writers and any creative person in general deserves and appreciates people that can talk to them bluntly. And nobody, especially if you're my client, I have to tell you what the truth is, or else you're not going to hear it from anybody else, because everybody else will bullshit you. And it doesn't always benefit me personally, because I've upset a few people by telling them the truth, and I don't sugarcoat it as much as I should sometimes, but I don't know. That's the only way I could.
That's how you grow too, when you hear that kind of stuff. Because speaking from ourselves, the odyssey that is our show, and then even our individual careers, I'd much rather just have somebody straight up tell me, "No, that sucks. That's not good enough. That's not what we're looking for." Than have somebody sugarcoat it, and let you believe, lead you on.
I get it. I mean, I totally understand. I guess I see your side more than I see the sugarcoat side, but I do understand. I was thinking about it the other day. There's certain things, like there are things today that you're not going to be able to say. Things that I want to ask you that I know you won't be able to say.
Try it.
The same way, tell me who you hate the most in the industry.
Christian Harlow.
Thank you. See what I mean? And that's my point. It's the fact there's certain things.
Me and Trevor are so alike. I never really realized.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, too, I get the sugarcoating and stuff like that, but I actually want to tell a story that kind of goes with that as far as the fake fucks in Hollywood. This is how Trevor and I we have worked together a few times. First time, I don't know if you guys know or out there, I was actually a writer for the WWE.
It was WWF at the time.
It was WWF at the time. And Trevor actually put together my deal, and he's like, don't worry about it. I got you hooked up. You're going to stay here. You're going to do that. And I was like, I felt comfortable. Like, that was things like, don't worry. You're going to get this. You're going to get that. I'm like, okay, good. I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
You were a writer for wrestling.
Yeah.
Are you implying that wrestling is somehow scripted? That it's not actually...
Santa Claus is actually not real?
Oh, my God.
There you go.
I got to get on the phone with the Easter Bunny about this.
That's right. So anyway, but the thing that... I started working at Silver Pictures over at Warner Brothers for a while, and I had met a few writers over there. And one of the stories I want to tell is the Wonder Woman thing, but we'll get into that afterwards. But the first thing is...
You never tell that story? It's an awesome story.
I'm going to tell it. But
You've never told it before?
Not on the podcast. I wanted to wait for you or Matt to come on. But this one, I want to tell the He-Man story.
Listen to this tease here. I'm going to get a He-Man story. I'm going to get a Wonder Woman story.
I want to tell the He-Man story.
Let's have it.
I worked over at Silver Pictures at Warner Brothers for a while, and basically the way it works over there, you guys who don't know what turnaround is, and I'd probably get this wrong too, but what it is that if a studio has a script, you have to, if like a production company has it, you have to wait basically until it goes to turnaround. If your production company wants to take charge of it, like I forget who had it, which studio had it, but had He-Man, and it was in turnaround, meaning that the rights were open for it, but the production company still had some of the rights. It was John Woo's company,
and they were going to make a live action Masters of the Universe.
And the script that they said, here's the script that you guys could, you guys can get involved in. And I read it, and it was this. It had He-Man and Teela going to like fucking Burger King or something. Like, he's like, I need to get a burger, Teela. That literally was the line.
Ooh.
It was so bad. And
I can't imagine Dolph Lundgren saying that.
I would have rather had Dolph Lundgren saying anything than what was in the script. And everyone that read is like, oh, this can't be a movie. I'm like, well, this can't be a movie. What we need to do, you got to do Lord of the Rings meets Star Wars. And so I started putting in Mark Riley, who writes the Riley Roundtable for us. He wrote a treatment. We worked with him together.
I saw him 2 days ago.
Oh, yeah?
The Conan premiere.
Oh, well, that movie. That's the worst movie of the year. One of them. But anyway.
Schmoes Podcast alums hanging out together.
I know, it's true. But anyway, so what happened was I read the script. We put together this treatment, and it was like, and I sent it to Trevor, and Trevor was like, oh, this thing has, we definitely have something here if we can get get everything kind of together. And then he's like, well, we got to get financing for it. So I'm like, all right, well, let me see who I can talk to. So I went and I talked to a few people, and there was this guy over at Legendary Films. Mm-hmm. I don't really want to say his name.
You hate that guy.
He is the scum of the earth.
I don't think he's as bad as you think he is.
Because you don't know, he didn't fuck you over. Of course he's not as bad as you. This guy sucks at life, and I really don't want to say his name. And you guys know, when I get angry sometimes, but this guy sucks at life.
Yeah, he gets angry over a little thing. I've never seen him this angry, but again, if you get screwed over and Masters of the Universe is involved, I can understand. It's like watching your 10-year-old self get raped at camp. That's not a good experience.
Dude, I put together this huge movie. It was and they were going to make it at Warner Brothers. But what happened was I went to this guy who was over at Legendary. Thank you. And I was pitching this treatment. He reads well, I don't know. At the time they were doing Conan. So he's like, it's a little too close to Conan. We went through so many different things with him. It's where he's like, at first he's like, oh, okay, we'll do it. We'll do it. And then finally, no, I don't know. I don't think we're going to do it. I'm like, oh, don't worry about it. We'll find something else. So then Trevor represented these guys, Matt Jennison and Strickland, who we'll talk about in a second. And they were going to write a treatment for us too. And we're like, okay, well, they have all this buzz now because this Wonder Woman thing that was going on. And then I get a phone call. The guy that we pitched it to went to another writer who had just done Voltron and done all this stuff, and the writer had no idea. He thought that the guy was just coming with him.
Yeah.
And the guy basically stole our treatment, stole our idea, got this whole thing set up, and then just ate like a big fat slob. And I just like to throw that in there because he's a disgusting individual.
Is he going to be on the podcast soon?
I would love to have him on the podcast.
He's
lucky not saying his name.
Like I don't remember.
You weren't in the battlefield. Okay, you were behind the lines. Okay. So anyway, but the point is that Trevor and I kind of worked together through some of that, but I want to talk about the Wonder Woman thing.
That's a better story. That was just you getting shit.
That was me finally venting. I apologize.
Yeah. You feel better?
I do feel better. I hate that.
You got worked up, man.
I did.
You want to take a minute and cool down? You want to,
no. I'm sure they're going nuts on the boards. I apologize for my rant.
I used to have a nose ring. Is that what that is?
You ask me that every time.
I forget
see it.
Every time I fucking.
No, it's a stupid scar, but everyone asks me that all the time. I get do you have a nose ring? Hey, fuckface, you got what is that? What is that over there?
For all you Schmo fans listening, do that. Don't do the do you look like Dane Cook? Do you know you look like Dane Cook? Do the nose ring thing.
No, the nose ring I like better than Dane Cook.
Well, yeah, you would, yeah.
Because I guess I have to have 75 nose rings on my face to look like Dane Cook.
You see the Louis episode?
No, I saw the clips. Though it was actually pretty funny. I'm glad that he can make.
It's funny. I was talking with Steve Renazizi from the league last night about that. I hadn't seen the episode, and he was telling me about it. So now
it's fucking awesome.
I heard it's great.
That show's amazing.
I'll give him credit that he went on to do that, though. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, Dane Cook is notorious for stealing jokes, and the big thing was that he stole jokes from.
He's not notorious for stealing jokes.
Shut up. He's notorious for stealing jokes.
Him and he's not Mencia though.
No,
really, but in the business, he's not Mencia. Him and Louis had a couple of very similar bits. That Louis was like, "Look, dude, you can't have done this without stealing it." So,
I don't know,
which I agree.
The guy has it's the thing that he's it's stupid. Whatever.
Right. So anyway, yeah. So let's talk
Wonder Woman.
Let's talk Wonder Woman.
Yeah, because she's attractive.
Well, Joss Whedon was on the script for a long time, and he and Warner Brothers kind of went their separate ways. And at the time, this guy Matt Jennison and Brent Strickland who were guys that I knew from my Village Roadshow days. They were just normal, like interns, and they were actually working at Broken Lizard at the time. Matt sent me a script, and he said, "Will you read this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll check it out." It was a spec Wonder Woman script, and it was
for a TV show.
No, for a movie, for feature film, and it was set. It was kind of like what I think this movie proves that. I think Captain America proves that it can be done the way that they wrote it. They wrote it in the World War II.
Yeah.
So,
anytime you have to like legitimize a silly looking costume, just put it in World War II.
But that's the truth, though. And that's the truth, though. And I read it, and I was like, "This thing is great." And it started getting buzz, and I called Trevor. And I go, look, this script is getting buzz.
I'm like, what do you want me to fucking do with a Wonder Woman spec?
I go, read it. And I said, just read it.
They're making the Wonder Woman spec. They were casting at the time. And I'm like, you silly little retard. There's nothing we could do with this thing.
And then I read it.
They were casting for the Wonder Woman.
The movie was already. I mean,
the movie's already being made, and then these guys wrote a different one.
Well, it wasn't like full blown. All right, so Warner Brothers had the script. They had Joel Silver producing. Joss Whedon wrote the script. He was directing, and they were looking for their female lead to play.
Okay, all right,
right. So and then I sent it. I go, just read it. Just read it. And then he read it.
Yeah, I had an intern read it first.
Right. But like he does with everything.
Hey, you know what? The intern really liked it, though.
Yeah,
so I read it.
Did you ever read it?
Yeah, of course I read it.
We're going to have the intern on the podcast in 2 weeks. They're really going to give us the lowdown.
That's right.
No, but I read it and I was like, oh, fuck. This is really good. And then we looked at the script that they had, and I'm a big Joss Whedon fan, but compared to the two at the time, this was clearly a better version of the movie.
Right. Really? They outwrote Joss Whedon, huh?
Because it wasn't that they outwrote it. It's just their version of the movie and the current Warner Brothers version of the movie at the time was different, and it was clear to us that this was the way to do it, like the traditional in World War II.
Yeah,
kind of.
Yeah, it was more true to the
really
core.
well written.
Yeah, it was true to the core of what it was, and he knew how to make it work, and it went around all over the place, and then Trevor wound up representing the guys.
Well, but it's better because you really pushed inside, right?
Yeah,
and I was pushing outside, and we couldn't get Silver guys, we couldn't get Warner Brothers to read it because they're like, we can't legally read a script that you could, if there's anything that's similar, you can say we stole it and blah blah blah.
Yeah,
we're like, we will sign whatever the fuck you want, just read it. You can steal whatever you want, just read it.
And you guys were cool with this after the whole He-Man thing?
Well, what are we going to do?
This was before He-Man.
First of all, there's nothing we could do if.
Yeah,
with it, if they didn't read it, so we might as well. It's not like we can make Wonder Woman on the side. It's a DC property which is owned by Warner Brothers. So there's nothing we could do. So we said, well, let's build some buzz around about it, and started sending it around to the tastemakers, other executives at other studios, other producers that are in that action genre. The loudmouth D girls, and just getting everybody kind of buzzing about it. And everyone's like, oh, you read this Wonder Woman script. If there was a blacklist at the time, this would have been that kind of a buzz. And then Warner Brothers caught wind of it, and they were like, fine, we'll read it, but sign whatever. So we got the writers to sign something, and they read it, and they're like, oh shit.
This is good.
We're making the wrong movie.
This is better. And it was one of those, I mean, this never fucking happens ever. But they ended up, I don't know if it was directly correlated to this, but they stopped moving forward on the Joss Whedon version of it. And they bought Jennison and Strickland's script, and they hired Jennison and Strickland to rewrite their own script, and that became the Warner Brothers movie.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which never fucking happens. But that project is now dead.
Yeah. So what? Because correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember seeing a recent Wonder Woman.
No,
they have somebody else.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. They have somebody else rewriting a new version of it.
So it's still in the works then.
Yeah, this is 6 years later. It's a different script. They're starting from scratch and all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
But it really helped launch these guys as writers. They ended up getting a bunch of open writing times at Universal and another studio. And
That's how I got my Wii. They bought me the Wii.
Is that right?
Oh, really? Yeah. So that's how I got my Wii.
Yeah.
High five.
Nice. All right. So we high five there. And I like the fact this is what you get on this podcast. It's there's no structure. It's everything's jumping all around. That's what we kind of like to do because it's literally shooting the shit. And I wanted to get back though too because there's something you told me years ago. I hope you can tell a story and don't be a puss about it. The urinal story at Endeavor.
Ah, right. So
the urinal story at Endeavor.
Yes.
Story. I will leave one name out of it. But it's a good story.
It is a great story.
So we ended up, I got off delivering stuff, and then I got into the mailroom, and from the mailroom I ended up getting on the desk of this young guy who had just gotten promoted who's now a big shit, really good agent. And I was really excited to be on this desk, and I was learning everything there was to learn. In fact, that's where I got the inspiration to become a manager, was from watching like J.C. Spink and Mikkel Bonnetson at the time build their company and going like, wow, they can produce and they manage and they have a closer relationship with their writers and directors, and that's what I want to do. And anyway, so I had to take a piss one day. So
as we do most days.
I like the way that it said, all these guys are inspirational. And by the way, I had to relieve myself.
One weird Tuesday, I had this weird feeling in my penis, and I felt maybe if something comes out, I'll feel better.
He's gonna have to take a piss soon after the LL Cool J flask.
That's right. So I go to the bathroom, and at the time, this is like the 9th floor of the Endeavor, which was only a floor anyway. And there was a urinal, and there's a toilet, and there's a sink. That's all there is to it. So I'm at the urinal, and I'm taking a piss, and I have this, what I thought at the time was a nice suit. It was like a canali, which I'm sure is not very nice to me now, but at the time it was like my fucking hero suit, and it was gray, and it was.
I have a District 13
awesome.
T-shirt on.
What is that, by the way?
It's from the Hunger Games. So you just
fucking nerd.
Yeah. So go ahead.
So I ended up taking a piss, and I took a step back because I didn't want the splashback. It was a horribly placed urinal, and it was like for children. And
splashback is a recurring problem that women will never know.
That's a real fucking thing.
Yeah. Especially if you're wearing a nice canali suit.
Or sandals.
Or sandals.
Or District 13 T-shirt.
Yeah, that's right. So I ended up taking a nice, healthy step back. And I probably should not have been standing as far as I was, but protecting my gorgeous suit is what I did. And the door opens up, and I hear somebody go, "Is that how far you decide to stand when you're taking a fucking piss?" And I'm like, oh, I know this voice. Please don't let it be who I think it is. And I look over, and it's this guy who's no longer there, but at the time was this gigantic fucking agent. And I'm like, oh, Jesus. And he goes, "That's fucking disgusting." And I still got my dick in my hand. I'm like midstream still.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you talking about? What's disgusting? He's like, ugh. And he turns around, he walks in. Whatever he came to do in that bathroom, he did not do.
And you're like, what, 22, 23?
I was 22.
All right.
22. I was 22. And my job was gone. I knew it right there. I was like, I'm getting fired. Right now, I'm getting fired. So I pinch it off, and I would wash my hands, and I sprint after this guy, and I stop him in front of his 3 assistants, and I'm like, what's the big deal? Like, what are you talking about? What was so disgusting? He goes, if you don't know, that makes you a bigger fucking moron than I thought you are. Get the fuck out of my face. I'm like, oh, wow. Okay, now I'm fired. So I go back to my desk, and I talk to my boss at the time, and I say, this just happened. I tell him a story. What can I do? He goes, what do you want me to do? I just got promoted. Like, do you want me to like, what do you want me to do? I'm like, all right, that's fair, I guess. Okay.
Maybe if you go in the bathroom and take a piss from far away, he'll think everybody does.
Everybody's doing it.
It's piss from 10 feet away Tuesday.
So next thing I know, there's another partners. These I will leave names out of because I like these guys, and I actually share a lot of business with these guys now, but at the time I was fucking frightened. And the guy opens the door, and it's one partner with the guy that was just yelling at me, and he sticks his head in that door, and he's like, get the fuck in here. I'm like, oh, I'm so fired. So I walk in there, and it's the head of human resources and these 2 partners at the agency that are like legendary guys in my mind. And I go, what's going on? And they're like, sit the fuck down. I'm like, I don't really want to sit down. Like, sit the fuck down. I'm like, okay, I'll sit down. So I sit down, and they start lecturing me about my pissing etiquette. And I'm looking at this woman who's the head of human resources, and she's like, because she knows this is so ridiculous,
right.
But she has to, because they could fire her too. She's not, she's just.
Must not have been a lot of clients doing anything that day.
Well, that's what the guy said to me. He goes, the one guy gets so funny. He goes, what's the big deal? I like this guy. He's good. What happened? What are you bringing him in here for? He goes, I'll tell you what happened. I walk into the bathroom, and this is a quote. He goes, this guy's taking a 6-foot gainer. I'm like, come on, man. You make it sound like I got my dick over my shoulder, and I'm like, oh, spraying it. I'm like, come on, man. Seriously.
6-foot gainer sounds like something you catch in the Everglades.
Sounds
like a Jason Statham movie.
Yeah. And so I'm like, this is not this. Come on, and I gave him a whole speech about how I'm blood, sweat, and tears for the company, and literally every single one of them. And if you're going to fire me over this, and just fucking fire me over something like this. And
you took a stand. Wow,
well, you have to stand up.
That's
a little,
ballsy.
A little bit. So I was probably crying while I said it, but then they're like, get the fuck out of my office. So I get out of his office, and nobody ever said a word about it, like nothing. And then
just a reprimand session.
It's just like a week later, I'm walking down the hallway, and there's this agent again. He's walking right towards me. I'm like, oh fuck. I'm not trying to avoid eye contact. He like puts me in a headlock, gives me a noogie, throws me against the wall, and keeps walking. And I was like, I like this place.
That's great.
That's such a great story. I remember hearing that for the first time, and I'm just like, maybe I should start taking pisses from like 6 feet away everywhere I go.
Well, you got to wonder, okay, so the next time you're in that urinal and it's time to take a piss.
I'm getting splashback, no problem.
You are right up there. Yeah, fuck the Canale suit. I am getting right up next to that. I'm getting friends with that urinal kid.
I ended up getting fired about 3 weeks.
Well, that's what I was just going to ask you. How did you? So how did you? What really? How did you find? They finally
I got fired because my I don't remember what the fucking script was, but someone had written a script, and I'm like, let's go. My boss was away on vacation with his girlfriend, and I took the liberty to send that script to one of my friends who worked at another studio, and I'm like, check this thing out, tell me what you think. We're going out with it next week. I thought I was like, being a hero.
Right.
I was like, I'm going to sell the script, and he's going to come back and be like, you're amazing. You're an agent. You're promoted. Let's just go. And that got me shit canned. I got fired.
Wow.
We didn't sell the script, and I put like Endeavor cover head on it. I was a little too ambitious and too stupid to know that was something that is just the worst thing you could do as an assistant. When you're an assistant, they don't teach you this, but when you're an assistant, you really just should assist and shut the fuck up and stay below the radar and do what you got to do. At a place like my company, if you do that, I will fire you because I don't want that. But at a place like a big agency, you want to have, if you want to be an agent, you got to play the game. And there's time and a place for everything. That was not the time and a place for me to do that.
But that's the thing, though. Was it the worst, though? Because had that not, it's the sliding doors theory.
It was like best thing I've ever done.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so for like some people, then I guess like if you want to be an agent, that's not what you want to do. But for you, it was probably the good move because how did you go from going from I think I want to be an agent, I'm not really sure, to going, you know what, fuck this, I want to do my own stuff.
I don't think anybody I was 23 at the time. I don't think anybody is 23 goes, with no money in the bank is going to go, I'm going to go start my own company, and I have no fucking idea how to do it. But when push comes to shove, you kind of have to figure things out. I think it's a horrible thing about the economy right now, and obviously a lot of people are out of work, but I personally believe that it's going to, and it has already started a real spark in entrepreneurialism in America. And I think it's going to be fucking amazing for the future of America. But I think when people are out of work and you don't have the comfort of what society has deemed the normal path of a career, then you have to figure out what the fuck to do on your own. Like this podcast is a perfect example. Obviously this thing's going to turn into something bigger. The more you guys do it, and the more you put your blood, sweat, and tears into it.
As soon as we drop Harloff and we get somebody else, they can really hang with me as far as...
Well, that's the good news. I'm leaving the show after tonight.
You guys are doing a good thing.
Well, let me ask, okay, so you get fired, and most people, I think, when they get fired, that you have that moment where you reconsider every major life choice you make. Do you think, okay, what the hell do I do now? Are you panicking? How am I ever going to get another job since I got fired? Do you have anybody to refer you?
They were really cool, actually. They're like, look, we like you a lot, but you're never, ever, ever getting promoted here, ever. Never, ever. So stay for as long as you need to stay until you find another job. We'll help you find another job. We want you to be a friend of the agency. It was this guy, David Lahner, who was in charge of the program at the time, the intern or the trainee program. Now he's a manager. He's J.J. Abrams' manager. And
he represents J.J. Abrams now?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Okay. In fact, J.J. Abrams doesn't even have an agent. He just has him.
That's great.
He's a good guy, nice guy. And he's like, just stay as long as you can. We'll help you find a job. And when you do, you'll remember us nicely. And, that's nice. So I ended up interviewing with a bunch of people, and I couldn't get the job because I think at the time I was told that I was a little too ambitious than just to be somebody's assistant. So I wanted to find a place that was as small as possible. And I found this place called Oz Films. It was OZ, Osborne Zarno. Nick and Jeff. It's Nick Osborne, Jeff Zarno. Nick was in the USC Start program with Jeff, and Nick was a producer. He was an executive at Phoenix Pictures, Mike Medavoy's company, and he's the one who bought Urban Legend, got it from like a pitch to a screening in like 9 months or something ridiculous like that. And he's like, oh, this is easy. Making movies are easy. I'll just start my own company, and left and met a voice like, no, it's hard out there. Like, let me give you a first look. He was really cool. Very generous in doing that. And he gave him a first look, gave him this tiny little office downstairs. It was literally the size of this room, maybe a tiny bit bigger.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Well, this is a bigger place. This is just one room in this place. But all we had was this one fucking room. We had like shit stains on the carpet. There was a broken elevator in the building. I was like, this is perfect.
I can piss from 6 feet away. No one will care.
No one will give a shit. No one would ever give a shit. So I ended up joining these two guys as their assistant. Jeff ran the management side. Nick ran the production side. And then those two guys decided to split up like 6 months after me being there. And I said to Nick, let me start the management side from scratch. And he was nice enough to let me do that. And then 2 years later, we were 50-50 partners and everything. And that was 10 years ago. And we started our own company called Underground. And, that's what we've been doing for the last decade.
Ever since. So that's where you currently are.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I mean, so
all you aspiring agents out there, get fired, taking a piss.
But
then your career begins.
But when you started, with Oz and then turned it into Underground, so I know that you mentioned before about, expanding it to not just literary, not just writers and stuff too, but I do want to talk about the writing in general, because I know that there's some people who are watching and listening that have written scripts, want to write scripts. Like, one of the things you always used to say to me that I thought was great was the fact that, as hard as it is for someone to break into the industry, it's even harder for you to find someone that great, the next good person.
Well, I think for every actor who's going on audition, or writer who's going in with a spec script, or a director who's trying to get a job, open directing assignment or whatever, you forget that from your perspective, it's like, I want. But you have to look at it from the buyer's need, and they really want that perfect actor who fits that exact description to walk through the door. Because for the most part, especially in television, they know if you're right or you're not before you open your mouth. The second you walk in, they go, this is you got a real shot here. With writers, studio executives and producers are begging all day long. Managers, agents are begging, please, let me that next script that comes in from that young writer, let that be fucking amazing. Let that script be just the next whatever, right? And directors, the executives are sitting there going, I want to hire the best person for the job. I'm having a hard time finding that person. So-and-so said no. So-and-so said yes, but it doesn't mean enough. I need that young, fresh person to come in. And it's just as important to them as a buyer to find the person as well. So they're nervous as well. They have a paycheck while they're being nervous, so it's a little different. But
everybody's nervous. It's like a first date.
But
both sides of the equation.
Is that kind of what we're seeing now with writers, though, too? Because it's like the Emma Stone theory. Is what I mean by that is Emma Stone is in everything now. She pops up. But you also see that with writers if you pay attention to it. Like Kurtzman and Orsi. Is that how you?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about top of the game.
I'm talking about top of the game for a second, though, too, because I wanted to say because once you get to that level, and then I think it makes it harder for younger writers because they just start using the same writers.
Yeah, but here's what's going on. Here's what I noticed the trends are in Hollywood right now, and it's fucking exciting for me personally. But I think should be exciting for most of the people that are listening, because there are a huge amount of the middle that have fucked themselves out of the game. Right?
How so?
So okay. You have Kurtzman and Orsi, right, and you have Aaron Sorkin and those guys. Those are top of the game. $1 million, $2 million players per script, no matter what. I mean, if Aaron Sorkin breathes on something, they have to give him hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Guys, Aaron Sorkin wants to write a Friendster movie. I guess we let him do it. I don't know.
It would probably be awesome. The guy's a genius. So there's those dudes, right? And then there's the middle, and the middle have fucked themselves because the studios, as they realize over the last however many years, decades, I can't keep spending $500,000 on these guys that wrote Bug's Life 10 years ago because that's their quote, and get a script that is, I'm just using Bug's Life as an example, and get a script that's okay. Right. And then I have to guarantee them another 2 steps. And that's almost $750,000 out of a studio's pocket, out of a movie's budget. That's why these movies get to $35 million per movie, because you spend so much on the script. What it's opened up to is the studios going, I'm not going to take a risk on those guys.
That's happened with actors, though, too.
Yeah.
It's happened big time with actors, because you see, back in the day, even the mid-'90s, you had, stars drove movies. Stars don't drive movies anymore. Stories drive movies.
It's an exciting time to be
As you say that, Bruce Willis is being helicoptered into the podcast. You can hear that.
I like it. It's a good sound effect.
That's a big chunk of our budget, is having these flyovers every time.
Just me breathing like Tony Soprano. All right.
What's exciting is the younger writers and the new guys into the game are in a position to they don't cost a lot to a studio. They can take advantage of you, but you're getting the opportunity to be taken advantage of. And they pay you, decent money to whatever, $100,000, $125,000 to get a shot at one step at the screenplay. And they'd rather hire you and get a good script out of it and then hire one of these big guys to come in and punch it up, than pay one of these middling guys. So it's a really exciting time for young writers to be getting into Hollywood. And you don't even need to sell something per se. I mean, that's a lot of something I want to talk about was the way we're doing things. A lot of my colleagues and other companies are doing things is not traditionally how things have been done over the last couple decades. Okay. And I'll give you an example of something that's going on right now. It's just a TV thing, but we had a client come to us with this really funny story. And we're like, this is great. Now, traditionally, you would say, go write the script. Let's go take the spec and sell it to a studio and be done. But that's just not, to go to a studio and go, here's a script from an unknown writer. What do you think? Still, we do. But you got to shake shit up a little bit. Right? Yeah. And technology is in such a powerful position now that you can take advantage of this.
There are some people out there, like again, from our buddy Chris Stuckman he's a writer and a director, and he has no ties to the industry, probably doesn't know how to break into the industry. Like if you were to give, he
knows us, which is exactly. Which is not a good place to start.
No, we're his biggest contacts in Hollywood. That's a problem.
Dude, we know a lot of good Arby's.
Like how would someone like Chris say, if he was going to ask you for advice, like what would you tell him?
What is he?
As far as he's also another film reviewer, but he wants to write and direct. That's his thing, and he wants to know, how to break into the industry. Like, what would you tell him from where he is? He's in Ohio.
What kind of stuff does he want to write?
Like adventure movies and around those lines. He's like a big Indiana Jones fan. And
adventure movies are a little different to the advice I give to somebody else. But for adventure movies, you just gotta. It sounds so simple, and it is. But if you write something really good, it'll float to the top. Even if you don't know anybody, you know somebody who will get it to somebody who will get it to somebody, and eventually it gets out there. And, you just there's a million websites you can submit scripts to, even if you don't know anybody. But, write something great.
Right. The smaller ones are the hardest ones.
Well, the smaller ones are actually, it's different. Again, we're living in an age where you're able to cheat. And I can't talk too much about this one particular thing, but I'll try to talk as broadly about it as possible. We found a movie that cost I can't even tell you the price, but it cost very, 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 very little to make this film, like a paranormal type of a scenario. And actually, you know what? This is even easier. Let's just talk about paranormal as a perfect example.
Paranormal Activity.
You don't need a big budget. You don't need a studio. You don't need real, trained, professional, known actors. You just need a cool concept, and you don't even need a script anymore. You just go out and shoot something because you have a camera that looks dope, that is just as good as some of the big directors use on big studio movies. You go out there and shoot it, and then, a lot of these things are getting made and a lot of them suck. But
just borrow your friend's baby and make sure it can stand up creepily in a crib, and you got a movie.
That's not, look, Oren made that movie for $25,000. Yeah. $25,000. And there's a lot of that getting done. And it's not, and it's happening with comedies. It's happening with it's harder to do with a big action adventure movie, but I'm sure someone will figure out how to do it. I just think we're living in a time where it's exciting that you can use all this technology to your advantage, where you don't have to do what is traditionally known as write a spec script, get it to an agent or a manager, and hope that they do it. There's different ways to do shit.
It's true, because even when you talk about like YouTube stars and stuff like that, people who have come out on the internet, people that have done that shows you the medium has changed. Again, you get someone like Rebecca Black, regardless of her talent, she wouldn't have been anywhere like had it not been for
Is that the Friday song, Chuck?
Yeah, I love that you don't know it. That makes me.
I'm aware of the Friday song, but
that's all right. No, it's all right.
You know, I'm not going on YouTube at night watching Rebecca Black.
I'm not judging you. Not that I'm
going to admit. Anyway,
you should have seen Shawshank Redemption, though.
I hear it's a good film.
Yeah, it's not a bad one. You know that guy Morgan Freeman? He's in it. You know that
I've
actor?
heard of him. Yeah.
Okay.
He was Azim in Robin Hood, right?
All right. Anyway,
you see in Conan he does the voiceover.
He does the voiceover. All right, so let's talk. Here's something. We're gonna get to.
That's right. Because Conan comes on, and you're like, they got Morgan. This has to be a good.
Wait. Hold on a second. Hold on. Before we're gonna get to the Blog TV.
Are there penguins in Conan? This is incredible.
We got to talk about that. Now, here's the thing. Let's talk. You want to talk about bad writing? You want to talk about writing?
No, don't be like that, dude. It's not about bad writing.
See, that's bullshit. Don't be like
Dude,
that.
The movie,
that's bullshit. That writing was horrendous.
How amazing could Conan the Barbarian be?
I disagree to the utmost on that.
Watch the fucking original again with an open heart, okay? It's shitty writing.
John Milius directed as opposed to a guy
Buddy, we were kids. The guy had big muscles and he was talking about raping women. It was fun.
They're going nuts right now. I'm telling you, they're going nuts.
So go fucking nuts. Watch it again. I'm telling you.
See, here's the thing.
The women, no sluts.
That's problem. I never saw the original Conan. My problem with the new one was how predictable it was, because literally every scene starts and you know how it's going to end right there. And you know, even action movies where you know the hero is going to prevail, there's some intrigue. There
was more of an adventure. This thing could have been like, they could have done like at least. The tone could have been like Game of Thrones.
But dude, the fucking and the scene's online. But the kid cutting off all the heads.
Why are they growling? Why are those people growling? I care.
That was good
story. Tell me why. Are they mutants? Why are they growling? The assholes. They're asshole people growling.
I didn't hate them growling. My favorite part of the movie, obviously, was the quote when he says,
"Oh, say it, please."
Okay, I gotta prepare myself. I live. I love. I slay. I am content. Senior quote material right there.
That's
garbage.
Senior quote material.
That's right.
Then you see his ass.
Then you get to see the dude from Game of Thrones' ass.
Look, I was disappointed because I wanted the movie to be really good. I did, and I want
every movie to be really good. What was the last really good movie you saw?
You are a politician.
What was the last really good movie?
Rise of the Planet of the Apes
is pretty sweet.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, dude, it's great. Sit in the front row and let the apes overtake you.
Yeah.
It is awesome. Let yourself be ravaged by the monkeys.
I'll go right after I get out of here.
It's great,
really
man.
good. It's great. It's fun.
Bring the flask.
All right. How about we do some Block TV questions?
Let's do some Block TV.
Let's do some Block TV questions. All right, guys. We're going to ask. So, if you guys have any questions for Trevor, to let everybody know who's listening to the podcast.
That's not his name, Christian.
Trevor is not his name.
No, it's Trev Trev.
Trev. Okay. So here's the thing, that for the people listening to the podcast, we're doing something new this week to where we have the Blog TV running. We're going to have some questions from the fans, and we want if you guys have any questions for Trevor as far as the industry, as far as producing and writing, let it go. And I'm going to grab the computer and we're going to do it. Mark, why don't you entertain us while I get this?
I want to tell a story about when I was a mere lad at camp. Oh, we're done? Okay. Now we're on Blog TV.
Johnny Rowe's looking.
Is it?
Johnny Rowe. What's up, buddy?
You got a buddy watching us on Blog TV?
I do. I'm very excited.
So here, no questions, but he seems to be a great guy. That's good. All right, here we go. We got one from the Green Dude. Out of all the work you've done, what are you most proud of?
This podcast not included, up until last night.
Right.
I think John, who's coming on next.
John Lajoie, we're talking about.
John Lajoie, we're very, very, very proud of. John, we found off of just on YouTube, and there was a bunch of people trying to sign him, and we lucked out and signed him. And he was, he's being able to take somebody from YouTube and being able to help them parlay into what he's become. The guy's immensely talented, so I think a lot of people could have helped him, but we're a very close relationship with him, but he's just it's really, that we have a lot of clients who feel like this about, but he's such a special person to be in business with, really.
And that's a perfect example we were just talking about as far as with the, medium changing and how John really kind of stepped up.
It takes a lot of balls to launch something on YouTube.
Here was another one we kind of talked. Oh yeah, well Indy Solo asks, great name by the way. Indy Solo asks if you're a fan of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah, who's not a?
That's good writing.
It's a funny fucking show.
Right. But
yes, Christian, It's Always Sunny is better writing than Conan the Barbarian. Is that what you want to...
That's my point. I'm just saying, I hate that movie.
I'll tell you what, man. If you've never seen It's Always Sunny, when we went to the League premiere last year, they aired an episode of that and an episode of the League. And I've never seen It's Always Sunny. That show floored me, man. That is amazing. So funny.
And what'd they do? How'd they make that pilot? They just shot it. They shot it, and FX said, yeah, let's do it. And they reshot it, and, it's a fucking classic now.
I want to know this as well. Mr. King 11 asks, Trevor, do you have any upcoming projects that you're looking forward to?
Yeah.
That you can talk about?
No.
Do not open till Christmas, kids.
And then, okay, so from Austin Putnam, what was your first project you ever worked on when you first started producing movies?
The first spec that I ever sold is a project called Road to Freaknik, which, if you guys don't know what Freaknik is, it's like the Black Mardi Gras in Atlanta. They do not do it anymore.
I've attended for a number of years.
Did you?
No, I've never been. No.
That's what he's here for, the color commentary, folks.
I read a book from this guy named Eduardo Jackson, and it was a self-published novel, and within that book was a passage about these kids from college that just, these young black kids, and they take a road trip to Freaknik, and I was like, that's a fucking movie. So we said to Eduardo, you ever write a script before? He says, I have a friend that I write with, and we said, well, let's spec that out. So they spec'd it out, Road to Freaknik, and that was my first spec. We sold to Fox Searchlight. We sold it for like $25,000, and I partied my ass off that day. I was so excited.
Tommy Swede Reviews asks, what would be your dream project to get involved with? Is there anything like that maybe a genre or a director or a producer you want to work with?
I'm a fan of movies. I see everything. We sell every different kind of genre. I like what I do. There's nothing.
All right.
So the answer is a She-Ra movie.
Yeah.
To go with Masters of the Universe.
She-Ra was hot, dude.
She was He-Man's sister too, so it's totally cool.
Were they brother and sister?
They were brother and sister, yeah. So He-Man may give you a little shit at the beginning, but if you're a good guy, I'm sure he'll accept it.
Okay, there are 2 questions left, and we got to ask them, what made you interested to produce All About Steve?
Oh, All About Steve. I got to tell you, that script was awesome. I'm not bullshitting.
What happened?
Kim Barker wrote a really good script. Practically literally just handed us in the script. We did not do a lot of work to it. It was a really well done screenplay. You don't get a script made with stars that quickly if it's not a good screenplay. And we weren't involved in the production, so I can't speak to what went wrong, but I can tell you that it was a really good script. That's how we got involved.
Okay. And then the final one.
It's like a good kid that just got into drugs in the teens, they just went south.
We'll ask two more questions. Shipper War wants to know, how is Robert Patterson in person?
He's a cool dude. He's laid back. Nick hung out with him a lot more than I did. I don't have as amazing relationship with him. Nick was on set with him every day, and they became really close.
Okay.
But he was a super cool guy. I think he might not love all the fame that he has, but he's certainly very talented.
We're talking about Robert Pattinson?
Yeah.
All
right, last question. I like this question. Coitus Machine asks, the one regret you have.
Good name. Coitus Machine?
Coitus Machine.
That is quite an ego on you, my friend.
That is. The one, Katie's in stitches over here over that name.
He lives, he loves, he slays, he is content. He is the Coitus Machine.
Nice, Coitus. Way to make make a splash. The one regret you have in the movie industry.
One regret.
All of our guests end up crying eventually, Trevor, so.
I don't know. I think I wish that I had. It's not a regret. I think, when you start up, Nick is like my brother and is an amazing producer and a great partner for the last decade. And but nobody really taught me how to do specifically what I do. I wish that I had. But then if I had this, I wouldn't have been able to be in the position I'm in now as well. But I wish I had somebody that was there to kind of mentor me throughout, like on an everyday basis. Don't do that, do this. So I kind of had to figure it out.
This is how you take a piss.
Yeah. Somebody should have fucking told me that.
That's right. Well, maybe not, again, because it seemed to work out.
If he didn't take that 6-foot gainer, then he probably wouldn't have, and we wouldn't have ended up with a great term for a long piss.
And we wouldn't have come up with a great conversation that we had today. Trevor, it was a blast having you here, man.
No, that's awesome. awesome. Thanks for having me, guys. This is an awesome show, and you guys are funny.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it, man.
We do, and we'd like to have you back definitely soon, because we could literally talk another 3 hours with Trevor. He's got a lot of good stories.
My fiance texted me and said, "Put that flask down. It looks incredibly unprofessional." So
That's amazing.
I apologize.
Don't worry, we're the Schmo Show. That's what we specialize in.
It's Saturday.
You got to have her on too, by the way. Too.
That's right. Well, yeah, I'll talk to her.
All right.
She's a big deal. Fuck off.
I know, she's getting to be a big deal.
Good luck with the wedding, man.
Yes.
In 3 weeks, and then I'm sure you're a big time Hollywood guy. You're going to vacation somewhere. You're going to honeymoon in Nepal somewhere.
Yeah, something like that.
All right,
Son of a bitch.
All right.
Yeah, I'll be at the Bagel Broker.
Yeah. He's going to
The Bagel
Bakersfield.
Broker makes a great tuna sandwich.
It's great. It's a great place, but it's not. Anyway, all right. Listen, so guys, just wanted to thank you again for our Blog TV people watching. Stick around. We're going to be doing another podcast in a second, but for now, this episode, I'm going to bang into the mic and say goodbye. Again, Trevor, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you,
Katie. Thank you very much, Mr. Ellis.
Mr. Harloff.
It's been a pleasure.
All right, buddy. See you at the premiere of Conan.
Get lost.
Bye.